thank you to Cricut for sponsoring today's video.
Welcome back to the channel, you guys. I don't know, for whatever reason, it feels like it's been a lifetime since I've talked to you, but it's only been 1 week. I don't know how this happened, but June is almost over. I can't believe that summer is fully here. Like, I feel like it just started. After making over that empty wall last week, I just feel so inspired to create some more DIY projects, especially for summer. Personally, summer is my favorite season. I am a July baby, so obviously I just love a summertime, and I also feel like it's the best time to DIY and do projects. It's also a great time to refresh your space, bring in some color and some pattern. And if your home is looking very neutral, I want to show you guys some project ideas that will infuse more of that summer vibe without it being too in your face. So that is kind of my goal today, and whenever people ask me where I find inspiration for new decor ideas, I usually turn to Pinterest and Instagram, or if I'm out and about, I usually am taking a lot of pictures, especially if I find some interior inspo from restaurants and hotels and even stores. That is one of the best ways, especially when there's a new season and a new collection out. I will be on my favorite stores' websites. I love to see all the new home decor, all the trends, and all the collections, and a lot of times I will bookmark things specifically to DIY. These projects are inspired by some of my favorite stores like West Elm, Urban Outfitters, and World Market, and these are actually projects that I've never tried before. These should be pretty beginner friendly, but I'm also doing this for the first time, so we will figure it out as we dupe it. We're jumping right into the first project, which I found on the West Elm site. I am obsessed with these side tables. Irregular and organic shaped furniture is definitely something that we are seeing more and more of. I am totally here for this trend. I think that West Elm does a really good job of creating trendy furniture while still being timeless, if that makes any sense. And even the description for this piece, it says, would look right at home in a modern art museum, which I think is totally true. This is a piece of art. And you could really use this for anything. They are using it as a planter, but I can totally imagine making like a wider and shorter version and making it a coffee table. And if you do make a coffee table version of this, you can use those divots as shelves and put books in there. I think that would look so amazing. So there are two versions of this, a taller and a shorter pedestal. They range from $130 to $180. I plan on making the shorter version so that it's more of a side table height, and that way I can float it around in so many different rooms. So I have a rough idea of how I'm gonna make this happen. I'm just gonna get started and experiment and see what we can make. Come on, baby, if you wanna reach me. Time to start the initial build of this table. So I've been saving a bunch of cardboard, and I think it's gonna come in handy for this. So the original table says that it's made with plaster as well as like a fiberglass and concrete. So I'm assuming it's a little bit on the heavy side. I don't want mine to be too heavy, but I still want it to be sturdy. So I am going to use cardboard as well as wood to kind of frame it out. That is my initial plan, and I'm going to start by cutting everything out with the cardboard, and I'm going to use a thicker cardboard for the outside, and then I'm gonna use something that's like a little bit more thin to make those curves on the inside. Raise your hand if you're a hoarder like me and you keep a bunch of random packaging and cardboard just in case you can make something with it, because that's what I do a lot of the time, and honestly, it's come in handy for projects like this. We have a prototype. Look at how cool this is. Now that I've actually cut it out, I have a better visual understanding of the actual shape of this table. So you can see there's this nice cutout on this side, and then there's a cutout on this side. Imagine how cool this is gonna look once we build it. I'm still trying to figure out how to do the inside. I feel like there are definitely different ways you could do this. So you could totally just cut out this shape and then stack it all the way across. Personally, I want to add a little bit more weight to this, especially on the bottom. So I think I'm going to cut out a little frame for this bottom part so that it has a nice sturdy base. And for the top half, we'll probably add some cardboard and some MDF.
I've done my fair share of cardboard DIYs before, but never a cardboard piece of furniture, so this is a first for me. I've seen people create some truly amazing pieces with cardboard, including chairs that you could sit on, and the possibilities are just endless. You just gotta make sure that it is structurally sound by stacking the cardboard to hold the weight. So I was really just figuring out this project as I was going along, but you will see that I'm adding more and more cardboard to the corners and creating different layers so that the cardboard has some structure inside and isn't completely hollow. I alternated between vertical and horizontal pieces, and I'm just using Gorilla Hot Glue to really hold everything in place. I am officially halfway through with filling this, and as you can see, it's kind of become a disaster all around me. I'm kind of just figuring it out as I go, but I'm finding it to be important to reinforce the corners so each of these have an extra layer. And I'm doing kind of a sandwich method between horizontal pieces and vertical pieces so that this is going to be super sturdy, and so far it is pretty sturdy. Like this bottom part, super sturdy. It has a good amount of weight to it, and this is actually turning out so much better than I thought it would. Looking back on this now, I wish I used a box cutter to cut all the cardboard because using scissors was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. So that's something that I would definitely do differently in the future, but I was able to use up so much cardboard that otherwise just would have been thrown into the recycling bin. So if you have a ton of cardboard just laying around your house like I do, take this as a sign to DIY with it because you can honestly create anything with cardboard. Look at this masterpiece, you guys. I feel like this looks pretty close to the original. I also severely underestimated how long this was going to take me because I think in total this probably took me like 4 or 5 hours, and I still have to add on the top, but we are ready to move on to the next step, which is to cover it in plaster. So believe it or not, this is my first time using Plaster of Paris. I'm pretty sure I used it like in elementary school or something, but I have not used it for DIYing as an adult. So I read all the instructions, I watched a bunch of tutorials, so hopefully I can mix it correctly. I also grabbed a pack of these bandages because I thought it'd be helpful for the curved parts. Let's open her up. Definitely should have covered up this table, but as you can see, it basically is just a roll covered in plaster of Paris, and it's super flexible. So this is perfect for a project like this where there are curves on it. All you have to do is cut the amount that you need and then dip it in some water. So I have a ton here. Did not think this through. I also have a spray bottle, some putty knives, and I also got some drywall tape just in case I need to reinforce any of these corners. And I feel like this would also be a good option if you can't get your hands on the bandages. Okay, let's do this, you guys. I am nervous, I'm excited, but I know this is gonna come out really good. After I put down that first roll, I realized how much of the shape it was actually losing. So I found that it was much better just to place the roll down where I wanted it. Then I could spray it with water to activate the plaster. This method just worked so much better to hold the shape, and it was just easier to handle it and a lot less messy. I'm only gonna use this for the curved parts, and then for the actual flat surface, I ended up using drywall mesh tape, and then we're gonna plaster on top of that. Okay, so why did no one tell me how tricky Plaster of Paris is to work with? You literally only have like 5 to 10 minutes of work time after you mix it with the water. It was pretty hot on this day, so the mix was drying and hardening up so quickly. So if you're gonna try this out, only mix what you could use up within a 5 to 10 minute time span. If anyone has tips for me, please let me know. As a first time plaster user, I would like to use this again in the future, but this honestly was a little trickier than I thought it would be. If you're looking for an alternative, you could definitely use cement or joint compound. I just tried to make this as smooth as possible. I think in the end I did a pretty okay job, but that is totally fine. As long as I covered everything, we could smooth it out later with sandpaper. Okay guys, it is time to sand, but look at the overall shape. Working with the plaster was a little bit harder than I thought it would be, so we're gonna have to smooth this whole thing out. I'm going to mentally prepare myself to sand this because I already know it's gonna take me forever and a half. I'm just gonna put on some music and knock this out. Hopefully it only takes me like an hour. You guys, this looks almost exactly the same as my inspo photo. I cannot believe I made this with my own hands. I put so much blood and sweat and tears into this, and honestly, it was worth it because I love this piece so much. It definitely has some weight to it, so it is pretty sturdy, and you could totally leave it like this if you want. You could also paint it, which is what I'm doing. I was honestly debating on different color choices. I was thinking about doing a light green or doing like a light pink color, but I ended up landing on a light peach color. I don't have any other pieces that are peach in my house, so I feel like this is going to be a nice pop of color. And also, I feel like peach is having a moment right now, so this is gonna be my color of choice. All right, we're moving on to the next project, which is actually inspired by this piece from World Market. I've had my eye on this for a while. It's a little bit on the pricey side, so we are actually going to DIY our own version for a lot less. So I'm actually using this piece, which I bought on sale quite a while ago. I literally bought this because it's an arch canvas. I haven't really seen that before, and it's half off, so I had to get it. The artwork on here is kind of like a deserted island beach, kind of typical vacation scene. So we're gonna cover it up and only use the canvas, but if you guys are looking for an arch canvas, I will list a couple of options below. I really like that the canvas is a little bit thicker, and it also comes with hanging hardware on the back, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna start with the design first, and I'll actually be using my Cricut machine to cut everything out. After cutting all of those cardboard boxes, my hand is actually sore, so I'm glad that I'm gonna be taking a little bit of a break from cutting. Plus, using my Cricut is gonna be so much faster. So I just drew up some of my own shapes that were inspired by the original, and also some that look like flowers and leaves. And I also will be using some that are available on the Cricut Design Space, which comes free with your Cricut. Design Space is so easy to use, and there are so many projects right at your fingertips. You can find greeting cards and invitations on there to home decor and handmade gifts. The community on here is so creative, and I will link my project below for you guys if you want to recreate this or even use these images for any other project you want. Look at how good these came out. I'm so happy with how clean all of these lines are. I love this little flower shape that I made. Now I'm going to take all of the pieces and put it onto the canvas, kind of like a little puzzle piece, trying to figure out where each one can fit, and literally just fill up the whole thing. I'm gonna glue these down first, and then I'm going to prime the whole thing to prep it for paint. This was kind of like a puzzle, just trying to figure out where to put each of the shapes, and I think these came out so amazing. I've had my Cricut for going on 5 years now, and as a DIYer, I think it's been such a good investment because you literally can create anything that you dream up. I love creating customized things for myself and for my friends and family, and I just think it's so special and fun, and it also saves you money on markup prices for custom items. Like, you literally could customize anything for a fraction of the cost. There's a huge range of Cricuts to choose from. I would recommend the Cricut Joy or the Cricut Maker, which is the one I'm using today. And I have a discount code for you guys, so you can get $10 off of any cutting machine or heat press, and you could use the code TINA10 at checkout. We are primed and we are ready to go, and you actually could just stop here and just paint it whatever color you want. But I'm gonna take it a step further with some texture. You guys know I love a good textured piece of artwork. So today we're actually gonna use rice paper, which actually is my first time using rice paper for decoupage. I'm actually not sure if this is gonna work or not, but we are going to give it a try. So as you can see, there is a lot of texture in here. You can see the fibers on the paper, and I think it's just gonna look really good for this piece. I actually am just gonna do 1 or 2 layers just to get the texture on there, and then I'm going to paint on top. I'm thinking of doing kind of a big pop of color, maybe something yellowy or orangey. To attach the rice paper, we're gonna use some good old Mod Podge. I like to use a matte one just so that there's not a sheen on it. They also have one that's made specifically for paper, but I just wanted to use what I have on hand, so any old type of PVC glue will work here. we are moving on to the next project. This is actually something that I've been seeing all over my Instagram and all over my TikTok. I've been seeing people DIY their light switches, aka their switch plate. I think this is such a fun idea and I want to create my own version. So I've been browsing on Anthropology and they have some really cute designs on there. And it got me to thinking, why don't we have more fun with our light switches? They are usually so boring. You can take this as an opportunity to create a little piece of artwork and make it however you want. And also these are really cheap. So I went to the store and I picked this up and it was only 92 cents. If you're renting like me, these are so easy to switch out. It basically is just two little screws on the top and the bottom. I'm still trying to figure out what the theme is for my light switch. So I'm thinking of doing kind of like a coquette theme, which is really popular right now, but I haven't really incorporated that at all in my house. So I think I'll add a little bow somewhere. And I also just finished Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is honestly the book of the summer for me. It is a 6-star book for me. I think it's probably one of my favorite books that I've read in a long time. So I'm actually going to take inspiration from the book cover. There are a bunch of little lemons on the spine of the book, and I thought that would be really cute to incorporate into my light switch. Also, lemons just scream summer to me, so I'm going to take these two ideas and kind of mesh them together. Ah, this is going to be so cute. So I want this to look like a little wallpaper sample. So we are going in with some stripes in this powder blue color. I just love this color so much. I think it goes with everything. I'm using a teeny tiny little nail art striping brush for this and completely freehanding it. And tiny paintings like this is one of my favorite things to do. It helps me shut my mind off. I don't have to think about anything else. All I have to do is focus on this painting and having fun with it. Like I mentioned earlier, these lemons are inspired by the Funny Story book cover. This is one of those books that I just purposely read slow so that I could spend more time with the characters. I won't spoil any of it for you guys, but if you're looking for a summer read, this is such a good one. And if you already read it, let me know your thoughts in the comments because I know this is a very popular book right now. Now I'm looking for my next feel-good summer read, so if you guys have any recommendations, send them my way. Alright you guys, those were all the projects for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below which one was your favorite. I once again can't choose which one was my favorite. It might be the plaster side table because that took me forever, or it might be the wall art because I feel like that really pops in the room. I love the color that I chose for it, and I'm actually thinking about hanging that one in our hallway because our hallway is pretty empty, so it could use a pop of color in there. I hope these ideas inspired you and that you guys try them out, and if you liked it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up down below. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to check me out over on Instagram. I post on there every single day. That is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay inspired, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!